Today I'll be looking at two films, How to Marry a Millionaire and Legally Blonde, and analyzing how the two movies help shape and repeal society's expectations. Feminism theory is focused on the function of women characters, in particular film narratives or genres, and the stereotypes of society's view of women. Said theory is shown in two movies, How to Marry a Millionaire and Legally Blonde. In How to Marry a Millionaire, the plot is overall pretty simple. Three women models who live in New York City have desires to marry a millionaire. They dream of a life of luxury, and their wishes to marry a millionaire will fulfill those dreams. In Legally Blonde, Elle Woods is very lovable, energetic, and outgoing. She wants nothing more than to be Miss Warner Huntington III, but there's one thing stopping her boyfriend from proposing.
So you're breaking up with me because I'm too blonde?
Devastated and heartbroken, Elle rallies all of her resources and gets into Harvard, determined to win him back. In both movies, we see themes of women trying to win over men, and we also see themes of men simply thinking less of them because of the character that they have chosen to display to them. The time gap between the two movies is about 50 years, but there are many overlapping and similar themes between the two, between the way both women are treated to how the movies display the treatment of women in the differing time periods. The women in How to Marry a Millionaire want a life of luxury. With this, they are willing to dim themselves down or make themselves seem less smart than they actually are in order to win over the men. Paula de Beauvois is portrayed as a gullible, sweet, and ditzy girl, but she refuses to wear her glasses because she feels as though men will think less of her with them on.
Paula, why can't you keep those cheaters on long enough to see who you're with anyway?
No, I'm not going to take a chance like that. You know what they say about girls who wear glasses? Maybe somebody shot him in the eye. He sounds just wonderful. I was naturally curious to know what he looked like. Who is he? I don't know that either, but he hasn't mentioned anything under $1 million yet.
This continuously affects her negatively many times throughout the film, shown in scenes where she keeps bumping into people and things, and in a scene where she even bumps into a wall due to a lack of vision. Women in Hollywood are often seen through the eyes of the male gaze, which suggests a sexualized way of looking that empowers men and objectifies women. In the male gaze, women are often visualized as objects of heterosexual male desire. Mentioning this is important because many times throughout the course of this film in particular, the women are dimmed down to one-dimensional characters. They are often seen as dumb or less than. The male gaze often defines women in ways that are harmful and demeaning, which we can see in this film. The men in both of these films only see the woman through one dimension, or at least the men they desire at first, which is a gold digger. Despite their differences, which actually offer each of them independence from the other, the film eliminates their uniqueness by fitting each woman into the same money-hungry category. Willing to do anything to get the money and the men that they want, the women many times throughout the film diminish things about themselves. It's even expressed in the movie that the women aren't particularly fond of the men, they just like their riches. This film is heavily centered around a man's world, and the film makes it seem as if the women only exist to care for them.
I don't want to be snobbish about it, but if we begin with characters like that, we might just as well throw in the towel right now.
You don't think he's a little old?
Oh, grow up, will you? Men with that much dough are never a little old.
Mine's loaded, too, but he's a real yawn.
Yeah, and he doesn't even look single to me either.
He's not?
Well, what are you wasting your time on him for?
What else have I got?
Supposingly, Legally Blonde is quite the opposite of How to Marry a Millionaire, despite having similar characters and themes. Unlike How to Marry a Millionaire, Elle never changes her personality or diminishes herself to please anyone. Many times throughout the film, we can see this, with Elle always wearing bright colors, heels, and lots of other feminine things. Referencing the clothes is important because it shows how Elle always stays true to her authentic self. Although the character does experience a lot of growth mentally, her personality and the things that make up her never change. Elle often ignores those who belittle her, but rather chooses to be kind to everyone. She never once in the film lets others' perception of her taint her personality or let it get in the way of achieving her goals. Legally Blonde doesn't make fun of its heroine, rather celebrates the joy of staying true to yourself and never trying to change for someone who does not want you. In society, being seen as feminine or overtly feminine can be a bad thing, with the hyper-feminine characters in TV and film often being portrayed as the villains. While it could be argued that these characters did some pretty bad things and were deserving of everything that happened to them, when looking at the Do You Beat article, it references popularly outwardly feminine characters and how they are often portrayed as the antagonists. For example, Sharpay Evans of High School Musical and Regina George of Mean Girls. It states that by associating such feminine characteristics so strongly with the female antagonist, it's clear that one is supposed to mock and reject these. Elle Woods, however, is one of the first exceptions to this attitude. She is exactly like other girls and still ends up being extremely successful in her career, fashion, and romance. All in all, the villainization of ultra-femininity reinforces the idea that women aren't allowed to take an interest in their appearance, be charismatic, or love pastels without it being an indicator of their evilness or vapidity. How to Marry a Millionaire reinforces this idea. We see the women using their femininity to get what they want multiple times throughout the film. The film tries to depict these women as evil for only wanting money. We never really get to learn much about the characters. As expressed before, they are very one-dimensional. Their only goal for the first half of the movie, or at least till the end, is to marry a millionaire, and they go to great lengths to make this wish come true. Although the movies were made decades apart, when analyzing them, one can see that they have many similarities. Of course, there is the theme of chasing after a man, but both women in both films experience growth. Elle, with realizing that she is smarter than she has always been told, and the How to Marry a Millionaire woman realizing money is not everything, but true happiness can get you farther. However, it is the way the women are depicted in the two movies can help one better understand why they go against and adhere to society's expectations for women. The woman in How to Marry a Millionaire, or at least how the film makes it seem, only goal is to marry. They have no money, but using their looks and charm to marry someone with loads of money will help them reach this goal. However, Legally Blonde has Elle realizing she's capable of many things. She never puts on a front for anyone. She gets into Harvard on her own merit, and it's even revealed that the man she was chasing after couldn't even do that.
Did you know when he first applied? He got waitlisted.
What?
His father had to make a call.
You're kidding.
In conclusion, the two films have very similar aspects to them, and they each show how women are viewed through society's eye, often reducing women to things like gold diggers or limiting them to the stereotype their appearance might hold. While the women both end up being successful, or whatever your definition of successful may be, both the films are able to help one better understand how women are viewed.
Oh, is this like an RSVP thing?
No, it's like a smart people thing. And as Viv said, we're full.
So everything you just said?
I'm a man who knows what he wants.
And I'm a law student who just realized her professor is a pathetic asshole.
They portray the women very differently, and everything from their attitudes to the time periods the films were made in contributes to that. Both films do a good job at showing the viewer how Hollywood has changed over the years, with the roles women were/are allowed to play being one of them. The films essentially show two views of a woman. Arguably, it could be two sides of the same coin, but how they choose to live their lives, how they choose to think, how they decide to overcome the obstacles that come before them is ultimately very different.